Perhaps no founding father has been vilified as much over the last 50 years as Thomas Jefferson. Yes, the man who wrote the Declaration of Independence has been revered and looked up to over his authorship of religious freedoms in Virginia. And he's scrutinized today over an alleged possible relationship that he had with one of his slaves named Sally Hemmings. Now, the account or story goes that Thomas Jefferson fathered multiple kids with Miss Hemmings. In present-day DNA tests, some have said that yes, that is the case, and others have said, well, maybe not. So it's inconclusive, but the story itself originated in 1802 from a man named James F. Callender, who was a disgruntled and former supporter of Jefferson. And so, does that make the story more or less true? I don't know. He was obviously close to Jefferson. It could have happened and it couldn't have. But this whole relationship with Miss Hemmings has polarized a great deal of the American public. Some people will say, and some historians have written, that the relationship itself between slave and master, even if the slave did not explicitly say no, it automatically should be considered rape from this power relationship. All the power resides with the master, so the slave really can't say no out of fear of what might happen. And then there are those historians who still revere Jefferson, who look at his writings, who look at the Declaration of Independence, which I call the greatest breakup letter ever written, and say, here is a man who was principled, who stood to his convictions, who stood up for what he believed, who wrote a letter that was read by thousands, millions, and tens of millions, and is still read today. So who is he? Well, historians will continue to debate that from now until the end of time. But what we can say is this: it's not fair to villainize him over something that may or may not have happened. Sally Hemmings is an important part of this story. Did that make him sympathetic to slavery? Is that the reason why he was so outspoken against it, that he had fathered slave children of his own? Well, it's not known. But that's the way it should be taught. It should not be taught as absolute truth, because we don't know it to be true, nor do we know it to be false. But it should be presented to students simply as what it is. A story that came out in 1802, still around today, was really promoted by Northern abolitionists during the Civil War. And it's part of Jefferson's story. But that, within itself, should not diminish the other things that he did.